Thank you, Deputy President, Mr. Johnny. Now, the global socio-economic landscape is rapidly changing, and there is a more apparent rise in the east and a fall in the west. And this policy addresses proposed measures to further promote economic transformation and upgrade. We enjoy unique advantages under one country, two systems. Now, last year, the government rolled out measures to stimulate the economy. We have yielded results. This year, there are further measures to promote economic development and innovation, such as development of the Northern Metropolis. This can help promote high-quality economic development in Hong Kong, as well as improving people's livelihood. This is the way out for Hong Kong, and will definitely scale new heights. Now, on digital economy, the policy address has dedicated a very important chapter to this issue. I think we're heading in the right direction. In order to further promote development of industries in Hong Kong, we need to promote Web3 as well as integration between traditional financial system and the crypto assets markets. Now, Web3 can help enhance the GDP value. It can also provide innovation and backing for digital economy. As you know, in Western countries, things are developing really rapidly. That means laws, talents, and other developments. In the past few years, the government has formulated policies to promote Web3 development. Now, international corporations have begun to set up presence in Hong Kong. The government should make reference to overseas experience. An alliance should be set up on monitoring the development of crypto assets. We should join hands with Belt and Road countries and the region and promote Web3 regulatory standards applicable to all these places and in line with international standards as well. Tokenization of assets is also another trendy topic. The SAR government should study the setting up of an academy on asset tokenization in the real world. The Hong Kong MA and SFC earlier rolled out a sandbox to meet the market needs. Setting up the real world tokenization of assets academy can help us draw up rules and regulations and promote opportunities to overseas enterprises. Now, overall speaking, I think the government should provide more support to the grooming of talents and building an ecosystem for industries so as to promote Web3. At the same time, we should improve the regulatory framework for cryptocurrencies as well as tokenized assets. More preferential policy measures should be rolled out to attract investors and corporations to set up presence here. We should enhance international cooperation by hosting activities and forums on a regular basis so that we can be an innovation hub focusing on Web3. The policy address also proposes expediting the development of Northern Metropolis. A committee in this regard has been set up to provide high-level steer. Workflows will be streamlined. I think that we have very clear goals. This is visionary. Northern Metropolis accounts for 1/3 of the total size of Hong Kong. It will be the major source of land supply and housing supply in the future. It also drives I&T and industrial development. It can help Hong Kong integrate into the overall development plan of our country. So I support the chief executive when he says that he's deeply concerned about the pace of development in the Northern Metropolis. The government should further relax rules and remove barriers. Using the large-scale disposal model, we can provide more opportunities for developers and the government should also adopt more flexible financing arrangements to expedite this development. This can help ease the cash flow problem in the initial stage of developers. It can also provide more incentives for investors. The next point is about aerospace engineering. I'm happy to see that there are measures to support the development of aerospace science in this policy address. Our country has made achievements in leaps and bounds in this regard. That the 14th five-year plan of our country also provides clear support for Hong Kong to be the international I&T center, which leverage on the country's development. We are in a metropolis. We enjoy unique advantages under one country, two systems, so we can take forward the development of the aerospace industry as well. Now, I remember when I was doing my PhD 20 years ago, one of the mentors studied whether a two-claw grab or three-claw grab should be used in space so as to collect samples in Mars. And we do have the talents and capability in taking forward the aerospace industrial development in Hong Kong. Now, using Hong Kong as a window, we can help our country in exporting the technology. We should also talk to the mainland authorities so as to create more economic growth points. In the long term, we can consider collaborating with mainland cities and enterprises and organize space travel itineraries. I believe this will be very attractive to tourists. This can also make Hong Kong stand out as an international I&T center. Dr. Wendy Hong. Thank you, Deputy President. I thank the Chief Executive for delivering the Policy Address 2025, and I will describe the Policy Address as one that is innovative and that is one that seeks and embraces changes. It is also one that has taken on board views of the community. Now, especially on the development of Northern Metropolis, housing, building the housing ladder, etc., I support Dr. Starry Lee's motion of thanks. I'd like to share my views on the Northern Metropolis. Now, we are at a critical phase of reform. Now, there are problems surrounding the vetting process, the high project costs, and also duplication in procedures. In the past, the civil service was not flexible enough. The political environment didn't allow flexibility, together with red tape and the cumbersome administrative procedures. The government adopted a micromanagement mindset. It was difficult to implement any policy. We all ensured that zero risk would be taken, and that is why we have been dragging on our feet. Time is right for us to be bolder. Now, for Northern Metropolis development, we need to show a resolve, and we need to remove barriers and streamline administrative procedures. What is key to development is to establish the right direction of development. Now, for this year's policy address, I understand that for Northern Metropolis, a three-tier structure will be established. The Committee on the Development of Northern Metropolis will be set up. This provides the highest steer and coordination among government departments. At the macro level, it will formulate policies and take them forward. My suggestion is for the committee in question to consider the macro situation. The roadmap and timetable for NM development should be drawn up. This will provide important backing for the work that follows. The committee should provide steer on the implementation details. By drawing up a roadmap and timetable, milestones can be set up for different departments. We can also comprehensively review the various plans and procedures, financing models, etc. for Northern Metropolis development. After setting key milestones, we can proceed to division of work among departments. We should set priorities. This committee can decide what units should be set up for the implementation of policies, and that the committee will also consider investment on the part of the government that can bring more benefits to the private sector. And for the committee can also consider making certain aspects of the Northern Metropolis operating on a self-financing basis. Information should be collated for key milestones to be established, and that the committee can also identify mistakes and take remedial actions. The second tier involves greater details, like the Secretary for Development's reply have stated. The working groups will support the work of the committee.
I think we need to consider the repositioning of the Northern Metropolis Coordination Office. There are only 25 personnel led by the 6 officials. And with the 3 working groups, I'm worried that there are too little manpower to implement the decisions made by a large body of decision-making structure. Now, the implementation of every key milestone on the list is important. The coordination office should be supervising the quality and progress of the projects. Emergency response and also funding allocation are also important. Now, the Northern Metropolis Coordination Office should submit a monthly report to the Committee on Development of the Northern Metropolis to report the progress of every project, and also reports the gap in the progress made and accounts for the reasons. There should also be a financial report comparing the actual expenditure and the estimate to avoid cost overrun in the Northern Metropolis projects. Now, about the statutory or non-statutory industrial park companies, the Secretary said that details are still being hammered out. I urge the government to complete the study soon and make a decision. Now, besides the 3-tier decision-making structure for Northern Metropolis, another breakthrough is that dedicated legislation will be introduced to empower the governments to streamline the development procedures. Framework legislation and ordinance would be established. Subsidiary legislation would be introduced to establish industrial park companies to speed up the process. Now, in my motion debate this year, I suggested introducing dedicated legislation to bring in innovative development approach for the Northern Metropolis. The keywords are empowerment and waivers. Now, with empowerment, the 3-tier structure can have more power. By waiver or exemption, we can relax the regulations on minor details and speed things up. Now, this will adopt a plug-and-play approach. Now, the principal ordinance is the socket, while the subsidiary legislation and the other detail arrangements are the plugs. In the future, based on the different needs of various developments, different plugs can be designed to plug on the main socket for easy use. Now, with dedicated legislation, we can break away from the straitjackets of the existing legislation in terms of housing, data flow, capital flow, and so on. Dedicated legislation can make the Northern Metropolis a special zone in Hong Kong for exploring the future direction of developments and reform. Now, the government, the chief executive also proposed streamlining of various arrangements, for example, extending the tenure for tenancy and also other financing models like provision of land as a form of capital participation. And also, introduction of industry is being given top priority. We should focus on introducing industry into the Northern Metropolis first. Without the presence of enterprises, private developers would hesitate to develop the area. On the other hand, without developments, enterprises will not move in. So we need to put equal focuses on these two areas. Now, the policy address has taking into account many proposals to propose a new direction for the development of the Northern Metropolis. I applaud this courage. Now, in paragraph 47, the chief executive said that if the pilot measures are proven to be effective, these measures will be duplicated in other areas in Hong Kong. I support this. The Northern Metropolis should be a sandbox. The reform measures can be applied to other areas as well. Now, I hope that with the development of the Northern Metropolis, we can explore the new reform directions of grasping the major issues and being flexible on minor issues. Now, I would like to move on to the future development of Hong Kong as an international financial center. Over the past 20 years, with the rapid development of our financial services industry, we have become on par with New York and London as an international financial center. However, there is a trend of offshoring. Our economy has become less diverse. The original four pillars of the economy has dwindled, and only the financial services industry remains. If we don't engage in diversification, we will become a wealth-driven economy. Our economy will rely on the increase in value of financial or property assets rather than technological advancements or improvements of the real economy. The wealth effects created by earning profits from property assets will give rise to larger wealth gap. It will reduce the upward mobility in society, and it will cause a rift in society. Now, although unemployment rate is still low, there is a huge reduction in upward mobility. It shows that the wealth effects and multiplying effects brought about by the financial services industry and land property cannot meet the development needs of the majority of the Hong Kong population. We need to explore new economic growth points so as to diversify our real economy. This is the only way for us to deal with the changes in the international industry landscape and create more upward mobility for our youth. From a wealth-driven approach to a real economy-driven approach, there is already a consensus on this shift. Now, there is a dedicated chapter to drive transformation of our industries. In the Q&A session, the chief executive admitted that we did not reform our economic structure, and reform is long overdue. Now, to achieve industry transformation and updates, we need to give full play to our core strength, that is international financial center. Now, the prosperity and strengths of the financial sector is not supporting our developments in the real economy. We need to direct the strength of the financial sector to drive the transformation of our conventional industries. We need to move towards a more diversified economic structure to share the economic development benefits with the majority of society. Now, besides exploring more financial products, we need to show more care to people's livelihood. We need to remember that financial products are an important tool for addressing the hurdles in development of society. Now, by making use of these financial tools, the government can reform the structure of society and become a proactive government. Now, we can consider the following areas. We need to develop fintech and innovative financing. We need to develop intellectual property financing and consider the development of a Silicon Valley Bank in Hong Kong. We need to use financial tools to develop affordable housing. We also need to empower grassroots people by developing digital financing. Now, this will combine the international fund with the local development needs. We can direct financial resources to pain points of societal developments and realize the true value of financial tools. Financial tools can become an important tool for the governments to change Hong Kong's economic structure and break away from the plight of rigidity. Thank you. Mr. Frankie Yik. Deputy President, in this session, I will speak on the establishment of the Committee on Development of the Northern Metropolis, promoting new energy industry, and the Committee on Development of Commodity Trading. Now, the Northern Metropolis is the new growth engine of Hong Kong. To tie in with developments, back in 2020, the government has amended the legislation. The original plan was to build a multi-story storage building in Hong Shui Kiu to accommodate the affected brownfield site operators. But nothing has come to be. Some brownfield site owners in the Northern Metropolis have chosen to quit the business because they lack land. Now, with the establishment of this new committee and the working groups and the dedicated legislation, I hope that we can speed up the development of the Northern Metropolis by removing barriers. I also support the government to extend the short-term tenancy for some land to 21 years at a maximum. Now, storage businesses as well as other brownfield site operations are located on these short-term tenancy sites. The operators have invested a lot to purchase the relevant equipment, and these equipments are not transferable. Once the site is taken back, the investment will be wasted. So this longer term tenancy will support the trade to make investments. Now, by 2050, we will achieve carbon neutrality. The Liberal Party supports the government's plan to mandate all flights departing from the Hong Kong airports to use a certain percentage of sustainable air fuel by 2030. Now, a year ago, when I submitted a question on SAF, back then there was not a policy on switching to SAF, and also the cost of switching was prohibitive. So only a few airlines voluntarily used sustainable air fuel. Now, the government has set a target. However, the 1 to 2% ratio is still too low. In the UK and the EU, the ratio is 10%. And also, the mainland has a target to switch to the use of more SAF. So when the supply of SAF has increased and the price has gone down, I hope the government would suitably adjust the ratio so that we can align with the international standard. Now, our country is one of the major source countries of hydrogen fuel. Now, riding on this opportunity, last year the government has announced the development blueprints for hydrogen in Hong Kong. There are so far 28 hydrogen pilot schemes running. Now, the government has driven the popularization of electric vehicles. However, considering the cost and the longevity of fuel cells, hydrogen is a more economic choice for the commercial fleet. So I support the government to roll out the subsidy scheme on hydrogen fuel cell commercial vehicles. Now, methane is also a new technology. Recently, a barge running on green methane has started operation. Now, in the mainland, there are already heavy vehicles running on methane. Now, compared with hydrogen, methane comes with more convenient transportation and storage. So that's methanol. So the Liberal Party supports extending the tax concession to land vehicles, and also support the government's move to subsidize the use of methanol as fuel. Now, besides subsidizing the 4 ferry operators to switch to electric ferries, in last year's policy address, there was a proposal for governmental departments to use biodiesel on a pilot basis. However, switching to green maritime energy is the trend. The government should discuss with the trade to formulate a plan to switch to green maritime fuel. Now, besides besides the traditional charging, EV vehicles can switch their battery cells. So the Liberal Party supports developing this kind of EVs and sets up EV cell switching facilities in society.
The biggest difficulty encountered by the sector is to find suitable locations to install the facilities. With the popularization of electric vehicles, retired batteries will increase. The number will increase. There should be policies formulated. There will be the first large-scale recycling of vehicle batteries by turning it into black powder in the eco park. That is the right direction, but it doesn't mean that they will be able to collect in sufficient batteries. In the market, there are some who sell the retired batteries for profit. There should be a proper recycling network set up. The FS will lead the steering committee on commodities, including spot trade of soybeans. There should be tax concessions offered to attract enterprises to establish in Hong Kong. This will strengthen Hong Kong's position as an international trade center. It also brings businesses to other professional sectors. I will continue my speech in other sessions. Dr. David Lam. I speak in support of the motion of thanks. In terms of life health industries, we have favorable conditions. We have very robust R&D capabilities. We can tap into other markets. In terms of development of medicine and healthcare, I'm happy to see that in the policy address there will be introduction of a number of R&D institutions on healthcare from the mainland, establishing their presence in Hong Kong. There will be a clinical collaboration in Hong Kong. In terms of clinical trial, is a necessary process in the manufacturing of drugs. We need talent, we need technology, facilities, and policy. We don't have a small population, but when it comes to clinical trial on rare disease, we don't have sufficient population. In the GBA, we have there is a population of over 68 million. Trial use of certain drugs that cannot be done in Hong Kong can be done in the GBA. The Hong Kong Center for Medical Products Regulation is under preparation for less than 1 year, but it has made some achievements. There will be the first level there will be primary evaluation of certain drugs. I see that Hong Kong can be used to help mainland drugs to tap into overseas markets. There is an aging population in Hong Kong. We need, there will be an increasing demand for rehabilitative services and treatment services. The efficiency will increase because of development in technology. We have made great achievements in R&D in this area. I advocate collaboration of Hong Kong and the mainland. The approval of medical products can be used in Hong Kong and for use in the GBA. We are well connected with the mainland and the rest of the world. Our R&D will do better and better in the future. Ms. Lam So Wai, I speak in support of the policy address. There are two key areas in the policy address: the economy and people's lives. It shows the determination of the government. It also shows that they care. The chief executive has listened to views from different sectors. It shows that he's pragmatic and he has carefully thought through the situation in Hong Kong. I would like to talk about the proposal to allow dogs into restaurants. This will end 30-year-old prohibition. It's a major change. It was an across-the-board prohibition, but now details will be taken into account in enforcement. We have over 240,000 households with pets. This also unleashed the potential of pet economy. At the same time, it brings business opportunities for restaurants. I have received over support from 9,000 members of the public and 300 restaurants. Restaurants are allowed to apply for special license to allow dogs to enter. There will be clear signage saying that the restaurant welcomes dogs. The goal is to roll out the new scheme next year. There will be a quota on the number of restaurants. The relaxation will bring new opportunities to the F&B sector. The new arrangement will attract customers with pets, but there are restaurant owners that are concerned about very vigorous requirements. It may increase cost to modify the restaurant, and by allowing dogs to enter, customers who don't like dogs may leave. I think the standard and conditions of the license should be made clear. There should be a transitional period, for example, starting with open-air seating of restaurants. You can start with Cheung Kwan O, Ma On Shan, and Sai Kung Promenade. There are open seatings of restaurants in these areas. They can be used. They can be used as a start. The government should also help to foster a culture of responsible ownership of pets. The wish of non-pet owners should be respected so that the scheme will be smoothly implemented. Dr. Junius Ho. In this session, I would like to express a number of my views. First, I strongly support the Chief Executive's proposals relating to civil servants. He aims to expedite efficiency, quality, and quantity. He works to remove bureaucracy. He's shown us that if there is no pain, there is no gain. He shows us that he is not afraid of making mistakes to not take action. Success comes from failure. If there is the correct culture, people won't think that by shirking responsibilities that they will be able to just get paid and claim glory for achievements they have not made. We need to change this mindset. The real test lies in economic doldrums. If you're just using scapegoats, rhetorics, and underhanded tricks, that's simply wrong. It's a shame to be an official that shirks from responsibilities. Officials have authorities, but they should be responsible, be able to show the responsibility when something goes wrong. This will be conducive to progress in society. When it comes to expenditure, we remember Article 107 of the Basic Law that we should spend within our means. Sometimes people don't take action, don't put money in their mouths. But they don't have the ability to deliver. There's a drop from 1.2 trillion to 500 billion. But next door, they have about 600 to 700 billion. But they are very small, but they have a very robust reserve. Is it because of their economy? It doesn't matter what they do, as long as it brings economic benefits, as long as it improves the lives of people, that will do. We have to spend within our means, as stated in Article 107 of the Basic Law. There are 200 to 70,000 people who are CSSA recipients. How come there are 4,000 to 5,000 people who are out of a job for a prolonged period of time? It's not because they have disabilities or they are elderly. They are simply lazy. Officials don't want to take action. As a result, we see a large number of people who are just spending the government's money. What's worse is that when you see someone doing this, they think they should do it as well. Well, there was a time when people think, well, if I can be on Social Security, then I should do it. Law enforcement officers do not enforce the law. They clock off on the dot. When they spend, they go to the mainland. So they don't know what's going on in Hong Kong. So we do need to bear in mind Article 107, spend within your means. Just tighten the purse string, and then you will reap the benefit. We have a reporting mechanism. Some people think that it's not conducive to being neighborly. But 2,000, 3,000 public housing units have been found to break the law. Well, but PRH units can be handed to your children. People criticize about the system of small houses. But that is the same for public housing. Perhaps the older generation was poor 40 years ago, but now the children might be richer than you. We need to make sure that the public housing is run properly. The reporting mechanism may not be the best thing, but it helps to discover 2,000-3,000 units that have abused the system. Do we just rely on the 20,000 or 30,000 production per year? We can also make use of existing stocks by identifying lawbreakers.
Northern Metropolis development sounds really great. President, the government seeks to expedite this development. In 2021, in January, when the 14th five-year plan was promulgated, the then chief executive was Mrs. Carrie Lam. Now she was talking about development in North Lantau, and then the 14th five-year plan was promulgated. It is said that Hong Kong should develop the North District. And in the same year, not until October, that the government finally realized what was entailed in the plan. And the chief executive started to talk about development of NT-North. So a reporter asked about the plan to develop North Lantau earlier. And now you made an about turn and you talked about developing the North New Territories. So from October 2021 to 2024-25, it's been 4 years. We haven't even completed site formation, but I'm glad to hear that the chief executive has personally convened the first meeting of the Committee on the Development of the Northern Metropolis, and working groups have been set up comprising 70 representatives. Now we have lots of views put forward, but who are the ones to implement policies? We can't have a reverse triangle. We can't have something, a structure like the Hong Kong Coliseum. We need to go for efficiency. It took 4 years for this bridge to be built in Guizhou. The bridge even traversed a waterfall, and that's a world of wonder. Is the top 10 projects in the world. How could they do that? Ms. Chen Yutming took me to this Choutong land. That's a path from Liantang to Bafusan, 1.5 kilometers in total. And for the Longshan Tunnel, it spans 6 kilometers. So altogether, 9 square kilometers in size. But it took a long time for the tunnel to be completed because of the land use debate. And we spent so much time on debating land uses. In the end, we're lagging behind. So, Deputy President, I support the Northern Metropolis development. We need to expedite this development. We need to act quickly. You need to deliver within a short period of time. That's your report card. Otherwise, it's just talk shop. I now turn to another topic, gold. Last year, in the first 3 minutes of the chief executive's delivery of policy address, he emphasized that we should work on developing gold trading in Hong Kong, and that working group had 2 or 3 meetings throughout the year. Now, Mr. Chris Hui this year also emphasized the development of an international gold trading market in Hong Kong. We need to bear in mind that we have one country, two systems. If you partner with Shanghai Gold Exchange, I am quite concerned, despite your good intentions. because we already enjoy unique advantages under one country, two systems, and in light of the current geopolitical situation. The government should roll out policies and remove red tape and barriers. Now, you talked about 2,000 tons of gold in the storage facility. Secretary, exactly how much are we talking about for 2,000 tons of gold? I asked DeepSeek, and it's in fact a measurement of 15 feet by 15 feet by 15. So that's the size of 2,000 tons of gold. Now, my room has an area of 820 square feet. In other words, we're talking about 1/3 of the size of my room with, say, a bit more clearance. And that's the size requirement for a gold storage facility to accommodate 2,000 tons of gold. Now, there are, of course, other installations that follow, security measures, record keeping, etc. But at least if we build a bigger storage facility like this chamber here, we can store 20 million tons of gold. So it's not just about chanting slogans. If you want to develop Hong Kong into an international gold trading market, you need to take action. You had meetings last year. Are you going to have more meetings this year? Through the Shanghai Connect scheme, we can allow gold to be exported through Hong Kong, and likewise, we can also use Hong Kong as the window for importing gold into the mainland. If you can't deliver physical gold, you can develop derivative products. If you don't even have physical gold, how can you proceed to developing delivery and settlement of gold? So it's simply not enough to build a storage facility for 2,000 tons of gold. If you want to attract businesses and gold from India, from the Middle East, and from the Chinese communities in Southeast Asia, as well as those in North America and Latin America, you need to build a bigger storage. I think this policy address is heading in the right direction, but we need to speed things up. We need good driving skills. My question is, who is the driver? You need to find out who the good driver is to help you drive through that passage. Mr. Shanghai Long. Thank you, President. I speak in support of this motion as well as speaking in support of this policy address. I think this policy address has catered for the needs of different sectors of community. It promotes economic development. It's also closely tied to national development. It also improves people's livelihood and the living quality. Now, I am in the IT business. I'm concerned about AI, especially new policies supporting the development of IT sector, Northern Metropolis development, university town, as well as coordinated development of education, talent, and R&T. The AI advocacy enhancement team will be set up, and I support that. I also support the establishment of the Hong Kong AI R&D Institute in 2026. Now, the government should adopt new thinking in industrial planning to dovetail with the 15th Five-Year Plan and the National Development Plan. Without compromising safety, we should promote AI, biotech, so as to form an AB cluster. And we should also promote the application of AI in public services and also adoption of AI in various industries. The government should put in more resources and incentivize private investment in I&T for wealth management. The government provides the steer. As for private development, we need the technologies to be mature and products to be available to sustain its development. Government investment, of course, is crucial, but the market is not taking up with equal excitement. The government should attach more importance to fostering exchange with entrepreneurs in developing new quality productive forces. Well, against the new political atmosphere, we should not focus on government business collusion accusations. Rather, we should forge a closer tie with the business sector. In the past few years, the government has allocated $10 billion to support important I&T projects. Now, I suggest that in order to improve the current situation, we need to address the issue of having strong R&D capabilities, but weakness in implementation. Now, we are good at the upstream, but not mid and downstream. The government has introduced measures and established funds to support the mid and downstream operations. I support that. And recently, I've been talking to enterprises. We support this new thinking adopted by the government. The government should discuss with the Guangdong province and also the Greater Bay Area about the apportionment of tax payments as well as returns generated by IP rights. We focused on investment in the upstream in the past because Hong Kong did not have a big market. We could not get a share of dividends because of the closed loop arrangement. Now, these are not favorable for long-term investment in Hong Kong. Well, we should establish a system to charge royalties for the use of IP, and we should also adopt the SaaS model so that we can tap the mainland market and generate value and contribute to Hong Kong's GDP. Now, on I&T policies, I find them to be pragmatic, and there are also KPIs drawn up for various policy measures. However, in order to translate words into action, we need the government to adopt new thinking, and the government should also think from multiple perspectives so that policies can be translated into real action. Only by doing so can we enhance our international competitiveness and make Hong Kong an international I&T center. Mr. Kenneth Fok. Thank you, Deputy President. Now, I'm concerned about the culture, sports and tourism. Now, I should have saved my speech for the next session, but I see that this session relates to industrial developments as well, so I'd like to speak on that. I'd like to offer my views in this regard. Now, the policy addressed this year is themed on further deepening reforms. There are KPIs drawn up. I believe that the government has achieved exemplary results. According to a number of international rankings, we have continued to perform well, and we also have close ties with our country as well as the world. We are the important connector. This policy address also responds to our the positions of 8 centers. There are also measures to promote diversified economic development, and there are other reform measures. I'd like to put forward my suggestions on culture, sports, and tourism. And I think that this policy address entails 3 features. I'd like to talk about the cultural industry. One of the centers is the East Meets West Center for International Cultural Exchange. Now, for creative industries in 2023, the value-added figure reached 134.5 billion Hong Kong dollars. That's 4.6% of total GDP. The government last year promulgated the blueprint for the culture and creative industries. It's been almost a year. The government is gradually implementing the various policies. With the commissioning of the Kai Tak Sports Park, we have hosted a number of concerts for international celebrities, competitions, etc. And it's expected that 49 million visitors will come to Hong Kong for the whole year. Now, apart from the infrastructure projects such as Kai Tak, we also have other venues available. Now, say for Shanghai, after COVID, they have converted industrial buildings into performance venues for Chinese musicals. And we can also do something similar. We can convert vacant industrial premises or office premises to provide rehearsal and performance venues for my sector. This is also key to promoting development.
I now turn to yacht economy. Director Xia Baolong said we need to make full use of our long coastline to speed up the transformation of our tourism sector. Now, the policy address proposed developing high-end yacht economy, including free traveling of yachts within the GBA. There is also northbound and southbound emission of yachts. So I'm pleased to hear that the government is actually implementing this plan to develop a new tourism pattern in the GBA. Now, there will be 1,100 more yacht berthing spaces. I support this measure. It will support the yacht economy, but more importantly, it will help solve the long-standing issue of insufficient berthing spaces. Now, because of this problem, a large number of yachts have been berthing near Kai Tak on the waters near Kwun Tong. That impedes the utilization of that water body. Now, I think that water body comes very much potential. There are potentials to develop that water bodies into a site for marine sports. Now, I have been discussing with governmental departments whether long-standing or recurrent international marine sport events can be held as the Kwun Tong Promenade. So I hope the government would implement these yacht berthing spaces as soon as possible to free up the water body. Of course, we must keep the water body clean while we are doing that. That will tie in with the development of the youth hostel and youth link nearby. We can turn Kai Tak into a marine sports mega event and cultural zone. It will also lay a solid foundation for the development of the sports industry in Kai Tak. Now, I would like to turn to empowering the film and publication industries with technologies. There are not a lot of measures in relation to the film industry and the publication industry. However, there are lots of measures in relation to AI and technologies. As many of my members have mentioned, AI and data analytics, I think these technologies will empower the transformation and upgrading of the film and publication industry. Now, recently, I have seen a lot of AI-generated Japanese anime, which are very popular. Now, I have been promoting the Publication 3.0 project by harnessing the power of AI. Now, I hope in the future there will be more measures to support the AI plus industry, for example, AI plus culture and arts. Now, meanwhile, we have to pay attention to protection of intellectual property. I'm speaking on behalf of my constituents. Now, in this term of the Legislative Council, we don't have time to deal with the amendments to the copyright ordinance. But I hope the government will continue to communicate with the sector so that our copyright ordinance can strike a balance between the development of AI while protecting the core interests of the copyright owners. Now, next, we need to add new impetus to high-end economy. Now, all the G19 party members are concerned about Hong Kong's position as an international maritime and logistics hub. I'm also concerned about the post-pandemic recovery of our international airport. Now, if we look at the figures compared with before the epidemic, the capacity has only recovered to 90% of the pre-pandemic level. That's not bad, but there are also very keen competition in the Asia-Pacific region. Now, as I've mentioned, G19 party members have discussed with the governments some hurdles the aviation industry is facing. They're also about air services agreements and how to attract more transit passengers. So we are pleased to learn that there are many specific measures proposed in the policy address. For example, exploring the South America, Middle Eastern, and Central America long-haul flights proposal. I hope that there will be long-haul services with a reasonable price, which can attract more high-end transit passengers to choose Hong Kong as a preferred transit hub. They will also tie in with the government's plan to develop the Skytopia and the second and stage 2 of the Asia World Expo. We need to combine the blue and green resources in the Lantau to build a thriving ecosystem. Now, about attracting international sports organizations to establish in Hong Kong, there are lots of mentioning about developing the headquarters economy. There are some good examples raised by the Secretary as well. Developing headquarter economy will help improve our overall competitiveness. I've been following on this issue over the past few months. I have also made some proposal to the Chief Executive, and I'm pleased that the Chief Executive has proposed to support the establishment of international sports organization to set up headquarters in Hong Kong. The sports sector has been greatly encouraged. It will help Hong Kong to host more high-value sporting events, and it will also help Hong Kong to nurture our own sports talents. Now, sports is one of our 5 pillars. With the glamorous performance of our athletes, there's great economic potential of our sports industry. We can also exert influence with our athletes and tell good stories of the country. Now let me move on to creating specific characteristics for the 18 districts according to the local conditions. Now I've mentioned the East Kowloon Maritime Sports Mega Event Zone. Now I think there should also be other characteristic development positionings for other districts. Now, for example, the Victoria Harbour. On both sides of the harbour, there are Tai Kwun, M+ Museum, West Kowloon Cultural Districts, and other major cultural infrastructure. It is densely populated by cultural facilities. I think there should be collaboration between the Tsim Sha Tsui and West Kowloon district for synergized effect. We should create a cultural triangle or delta near the Victoria Harbour, connecting the central and western districts and so on. There should also be ticketing packages to support the upgrading and transformation of cultural sector. Now, Causeway Bay is also an important area. As I've mentioned on numerous occasions to the government, there's great potential to develop Causeway Bay into a tennis hub. There are 44 tennis courts and 1 main arena in Causeway Bay, and there are lots of supporting facilities like catering businesses and shopping malls nearby. In the long run, this is a good place to develop our tennis industry and sports industry as a whole. Now, lastly, about collaboration between public and private organizations. Now, I'm pleased to see that the LCSD will adopt the market-oriented approach in its operation. Now, this is close to my heart. In the mega event economy study published last year, I've mentioned that the allocation of venues is rigid and it hurts our mega events economy development. Now, I hope the LCSD will collaborate better with the markets, private markets. Now, the LCSD has an expenditure of $12 billion or above each year. It is a heavy burden on the public money, on the public coffer. Now, private organizations are brought in to run the Lei Yu Moon holiday camp and some beaches. This is a good direction. In the long run, major facilities like the Hong Kong Stadium should also be run privately. Now, this policy address mentioned that the positioning of the Hong Kong Stadium would be revisited, and also more venues would be opened up to sports institutes for training. I welcome that. Now, the rent income of the Hong Kong Stadium is disappointing, especially when we have the Kai Tak Sports Park. The impact on the Hong Kong Stadium is huge. So I support national sports associations with the expertise and even universities and other stakeholders to make full use of the Hong Kong Stadium to create a sustainable development direction. Deputy President, overall speaking, the contents of the policy address are rich. There are lots of other areas which I'm interested in, but I don't have time to speak on every of them. Now, the industry-led approach is right. The government has offered an innovative development framework for cultural and arts industries. Now, we need to align with the national development strategy. The government has been combining a proactive government with an effective market to lay down strategic directions for Hong Kong. I also submit I support the policy address and the measures. Mr. Holden Chow. Thank you, Deputy President. The 2025 policy address has two main themes, that is, economic development and people's livelihood. That aligns with the DAB's proposal that the policy address should focus on these two areas. More than 60 recommendations made by the DAB have been accepted. Now, I focus in this session on Northern Metropolis and also consolidating our position as an international financial center. Now, I start off by thanking the government for accepting one of my personal suggestions, that is to lower the threshold of property purchase under the new capital investment entrance scheme from $50 million to $30 million. This will activate the property market without affecting the home ownership of ordinary citizens in Hong Kong. The property at the price of $30 million are not usually affordable to the ordinary public. So that would help bring in more talents without affecting the home ownership of the general public. And there are lots of measures in relation to innovation and technology. Since 2021, I have written 3 proposals on new industrialization, and I thank the government for accepting some of my suggestions, including increasing the KPIs of a percentage taken by our manufacturing industry in our GDP. Now, by 2032, the government has set a target of a GDP contribution of 5% instead of 1% at present. I think that is a very important move to help promote the development of the manufacturing industry in Hong Kong. In this policy address, some issues we have raised have been mentioned as well. Now, for example, more than 3,000 enterprises have been introduced by the Hong Kong Talent Engage or Invest Hong Kong, and also 80 enterprises have been brought to Hong Kong by the Oasis. These are all strategic enterprises. These enterprises can also harness our strengths in financial services. Now, by coming to Hong Kong, they can make good use of our financial infrastructure to list in our stock market and raise funds. This will create a great synergy, and I hope we can give more play to this strength. Now, earlier on, my alma mater, the LSE, the president of the LSE has come to Hong Kong. I had the honor to spend some time with him. I also thank Professor Sun to attend an alumni meeting of LSE concerning AI in Hong Kong. Now, we had a very great discussion that day. More importantly, the president of the LSE visited Hong Kong because he saw great potential in I&T development here. He also understands our strength that is backed by the country and being connected with the world. That's why he chose Hong Kong as the location of this meeting. And I thank Professor Sun for explaining the government's measures to the president on that day. Now, there are many measures in the policy address in this regard. In the future, if we can co-host more high-end managerial training programs with other famous universities, that would be great. Now, that's more than the traditional programs. In this AI era, even managerial staff and CEOs of companies have to learn AI. So we should attract these high-end talents to come study for AI in Hong Kong. Now, of course, we would do our best to promote this kind of training courses in the private sector as well.
Moving to another point, it's mentioned in the policy address in relation to the new industrialization acceleration scheme. The threshold has lowered from 300 million to 100 million. It gives flexibility to enterprises. For enterprises to establish pilot production lines in Hong Kong of small batches, we actually have the favorable conditions to do it. More important is for barriers to be removed so that enterprises will find it easy to meet all the requirements. I'd like to thank the Development Bureau that they have taken on board a long-standing proposal from us. We want industries to be established in Tuen Mun to enable residents to work in the same district. The development position of Long Kou Tan is changed. Advanced manufacturing materials will be processed there. Tuen Mun will also be a storage center for green fuel storage. Green shipping fuel will be stored there, but there will be additional services provided. Recently, there was a roundtable meeting. If we are to build Tuen Mun into a green shipping fuel center, it's not just about storage. There can be testing, green testing on, say, green methanol, on its content, whether it meets international standards. There can also be R&D institutions on green methanol in Tuen Mun. Enterprises relating to green methanol can establish their presence there. Say, for example, those relating to testing, storage, and R&D. They can all be located in or near Tuen Mun to create a cluster. There may be high-value adding shipping industry, say, for example, shipping companies that can be set up in Tuen Mun. When we have this chain in Tuen Mun, I think the next step is a green corridor. By that I mean if green bunkering service is done in Tuen Mun, the vessels will get certification. We've talked to stakeholders. The Rotterdam port has been very active in enhancing their capability for green hydrogen bunkering. I think that they are also working actively to establish a green corridor network. This is an area that Hong Kong can be involved as well. Well, if Tuen Mun is empowered to be a green fuel storage, it can also be a green bunkering center. The DAB team will continue with our work to follow up. Lastly, industry development. One area is arbitration center. As mentioned in the policy address, the arbitration ordinance will be amended. The last amendment was 2011. In addition to Hong Kong IAC, that is the Hong Kong International Arbitration Center, that is in charge of appointing arbitrators, perhaps more eligible arbitration institutions can be empowered to appoint arbitrators so that there will be competition, there will be more room for the market to develop. The market has already been expanded. We need to make more arbitration centers eligible to appoint arbitrators. I will leave some time to speak in other sessions. Thank you. Mr. Michael Lok. I speak on this motion of thanks. We went to the districts after the policy address had been delivered to collect views. Well, members of the public always asked us if there are any cash handouts. We explained to them that that is not covered by the policy address, but the budget, if any. The policy address is about plans and policies. Allow me to describe the policy address as something that is the government is enthusiastic about, but is been given the cold shoulder in the community. We need to do something about it. We need to drum up support in the community. When a policy address is delivered, there will be heated discussion in the community. But how do we do it? Let me elaborate. I agree with the policies in general. I think the point is for whom the Northern Metropolis is developed. It's for our posterity. We need to show the public that there is an enhanced sense of happiness, gain, and participation. We collected views in the North District, but it can be done after the policy address to collect views. In short, we have to make the public feel that they have a share of the fruit of development. I support the Committee on the Development of the Northern Metropolis, chaired by the Chief Executive. Well, he's deeply concerned about the development. There are 3 working groups set up under the committee, a task to focus on specific areas. There will be special measures put in place for specific issues. The development plan of University Town in the Northern Metropolis will be set. There will be package of preferential policies to enable enterprises to find development opportunities. But we have to expedite land development. In terms of expediting efficiency and speed, we can draw reference from Shenzhen. The portfolio actually has been scattered over 100, but it has been compressed to just a dozen. And the time for processing applications has been shortened to only 33 days. The workflow and procedures are made public on the internet. Information can be easily found by interested parties or investors. It will be easy for investors to find the information. At the same time, it will dispel suspicions that there is any kind of collusion. In addition to open tender in the development of the Northern Metropolis, there will also be restricted tendering or direct land grants. I suggest that a land bank of Northern Metropolis be established. Application eligibility, scoring criteria, reasons for refusal will all be made public on the internet. There is a similar approach in the U.S. It will dispel any unnecessary suspicions. Interested parties will find it easy to find the information they need. It disincentivizes hoarding of land. It will also enhance cash flow and cost. When it comes to development, the public are more concerned about living standards. In the coming 10 years, the Northern Metropolis will produce a large amount of subsidized sales flat. We have been advocating a concept of enabling youngsters to save. They will use a certain part of their income and put it into a scheme to ensure that they have a right to buy. It's different from signing yourself up to home ownership schemes. This will, youngsters as a result will know that they have a goal to work towards. Under the scheme, there will be very vigorous vetting. The means test will be conducted at the time of the application. When they get promoted or have a higher salary later, that will not be affected. Currently, there are people who turn down promotions because they don't want to exceed the income limit. Priorities can also be given to families. In Seoul, there is a project with a similar arrangement. Contributions from youngsters will be bundled with a development in new areas. The home ownership rate has increased from 26% to 39%, and in turn, it will boost consumption. So youngsters will save, buy a flat, and then take delivery of the flat. Northern Metropolis will not only provide job opportunities, but also opportunities to own a flat. There are facilitating measures to attract talent from outside Hong Kong, but we also need to make good use of local talent so that there will be better integration among talents from Hong Kong and from outside Hong Kong. When it comes to incoming talents, not only should it be related to industries, it should also be catered to the specific needs of enterprises. Priorities should be given to the local workforce. There is a large coverage in the policy address on AI development as a technology and as an industry. The requirements for AI is not just computing power, but electricity supply as well. When it comes to chips manufactured by the mainland, it may be very close in quality to US manufactured ones, but when it comes to power generation, the mainland excels. A lot of the computing centers in the mainland has been moved to the northwestern part of the country. We can be bold by connecting Hong Kong data centers or supercomputer centers into the power grid of the mainland. In the mainland power grid, the tariff is a lot lower than that in Hong Kong.
Now let me turn to another point. That's development of new energy. There is a need to implement facilitation measures on land development. Now, I recently visited a number of enterprises and I received this complaint that usually the leases in Hong Kong are of a very short term. If it's only a tenancy of 1 or 2 years, it won't be able to have a good business plan that will help them balance the books. So I think on green and new energy, we are lagging behind. I will save the rest for the next session. Next, Mr. Peter Shiu. President, I thank the Chief Executive for accepting the Liberal Party's suggestions. I see that they've been incorporated in this year's policy address. We'll continue to do our best and give suggestions to the government. Now, when this government first came to office, it had to tackle the chaos brought about by the black-clad violence in 2019, as well as COVID-19 pandemic. Now we have moved from chaos to stability and from stability to prosperity. In the past 3 years, the median wage has increased by 11%, as the Chief Executive earlier cited. So we are migrating towards prosperity. It's a critical phase. We need to undertake reforms. Now, I've often hear from the sector ideas about business reforms. So when it comes to people's livelihood, the government should also take the lead. The first step is to introduce reforms within the government. Now, civil service and the civil service enjoys rather high levels of salary in order to make sure that it's clean. Now, whilst I'm in all support of this mechanism, I think that there are problems to be resolved because we need to enhance accountability and expedite the pace of social development. And I support the head of department's accountability system to be set up. This will drive a change in the whole system. As for care teams, according to views in the community, care teams have been able to help them cope with emergencies and livelihood problems. This is the intention of the government to enhance a sense of bliss among the people. Now, the chief executive would like to see pay rise and better care for the elderly and more development opportunities for young people. I support all these ideas. So we need to start with economic development in order to improve people's livelihood. After that, we need to undertake development of industries and dovetail with national development. I represent the business sector. In the 2 sessions, I learned that our country would like Hong Kong to play a role in the dual circulation national strategy, and we should help enterprises go global. There is also the new development pattern of urban-rural integration, as well as key reduction elements. Now, I think this may not be a concept familiar to the average Joe. In fact, last year in September, I joined the delegation led by Mr. C.Y. Leung. That delegation visited farm produce in Ningxia, as well visited the production of farm produce and wine. Now, if we could help farmers promote their products, we can also benefit from the process, and we can help the farmers with a high income. Now, in fact, I have brought along this brand of wine from Ningxia, and my friends have asked me to place another order. So this is a very good experience. That is, if we label the wine produced in Ningxia as a Lachco wine, and then this will be a good opportunity for both. This comes with good quality. I understand the president will be retiring, and if he could just provide an autograph on one of the bottles, then this will generate income for the Legislative Council even. This is how value is added. Now, the next highlight is about new quality productive forces. Again, this is the idea reiterated in the 2 sessions. This morning, I was told this story. There was a friend in my sector. He's in the wine and whiskey business. Because of a legal problem, this friend is unable to sell whiskey here. As I understand from the C&E department, there is a piece of outdated law which provides that the title whiskey can only be used after it's been brewed for a long time. But in fact, there is a new way of producing whiskey. It takes only 15 years to brew whiskey. I mean, down from 15 years to just a month. And according to my friend, 1 million bottles can be produced in Hong Kong in a year. Now, the Customs and Excise Department has provided assistance to us in order to pass this legal hurdle. This company is now producing whiskey in Hong Kong for sale around the world. So this is the good story we should tell others. We should leverage technology. We also need a good legal backing for our operations. Now, I talked about this local enterprise. In fact, the government in Singapore approached this company. The government there is willing to invest in this company for the production line to be moved to Singapore. But my friend has insisted that production must take place in Hong Kong, and the government has also made an effort to provide support. So that's about nurturing new quality productive forces. This can help our economy. Like President Xi said, innovation technology is a primary driver, and human resources the primary resource, and also innovation the impetus. In in this year's two sessions, presidency further emphasizes the development of a real economy, and that we need to drive the upgrade and transformation of traditional industries and develop new quality productive forces. Let me give you an example. Apart from the one I just mentioned, we also need to dovetail with the dual circulation national strategy. Now we attract businesses and we help businesses go global. We provide the platform, and that's what the chief executive said. I'd like to talk about success, stories of success. That's Mr. Joseph Lau. He started with the production line, and then he went on business fair in another country, and that a Jewish businessman was interested in his business. And that's about the production of cables or wires. Now, Mr. Lau's products did not meet the standards in that country, but with slight modifications, he was able to take this order, and that with the help of a friend, the product was slightly modified, and that he was able to sell his products well in the country of this Jewish businessman. So the lesson of this story is that international standards matter. So that's what I'm talking about. We should leverage on the brands we already have. At the same time, we should be mindful about the different standards around the world. We have the British standards, US standards, and EU standards. And we should develop a standard for Asia. Now, this is where we come in. There are calls for a testing and certification center be set up in Hong Kong. We should leverage on our legal system, and we can come up with the Asian standard that aligns with the international standard, and then we can help production bases in the mainland go global. Say, I have friends in the wholesale and retail sector, and people don't seem to understand why the business has declined. We have 7 million people in Hong Kong. In the past, we had a very solid market. Nowadays, buyers would do their shopping online. So it's time for transformation. We have inherent advantages in terms of testing and certification. We enjoy good reputation. So we should combine the manufacturing bases in the mainland, the production chains in the Greater Bay Area, as well as our vision and innovation. Now, of course, these mainland operations should be registered in Hong Kong, and they should also pay tax here. In return, we will help these mainland products go global. So this is about taking active steps to dovetail with the national development. We need to support local economy. We are in the phase of transformation. We need to expedite the development of Northern Metropolis. This is our priority. So when it comes to machinery, equipment, production, workflow, construction processes, etc. We need to be innovative. We need to try out new methods. According to my friends in the construction sector in the mainland, the costs are several times lower. So in order to speed things up, we need to get the right footing. On Hong Kong's status as an international financial center, I thank Mr. Paul Chan, Financial Secretary, for helping us tell good stories of Hong Kong. Now, for the stock market, this year, the IPO listings is record-breaking. Well, we need to give play to our advantages. We have good reputation. We're able to attract capital. We need to consolidate further our advantage as an international financial center. So keep it up.
Mr. Michael Tian, President, government officials. In this session, I will focus on the topics covered by this session. So I will spill my heart in one go. Now, about Northern Metropolis and the railways. Northern Metropolis development is the government's priority, and this policy address also focuses on the Northern Metropolis. As the panel on transport and development, I mentioned the issue of transport in Northern Metropolis as well. Now, there will be 3 railways: Central Rail Link, Hung Shui Kiu to Hong Kong Island, Cross Bay Link, and also the Northern Link. Now, the Northern Link is being built. However, the Central Rail Link is nowhere to be seen. The Hung Shui Kiu Hong Kong Island Rail Link is non-existent as well. So I suggested linking up Hung Shui Kiu with Sunny Bay. That's the best alternative to allow the 1 million people living in Chuen Mun to have another route to travel to urban areas. However, I'm saddened that the government said that my suggestions would not be considered. First, the areas passing along the line between Hung Shui Kiu and Sunny Bay are not developed areas. There is not sufficient population to support the railway. However, in the future, there will be 1 to 2 billion people living in the Northern Metropolis. What about them? Now, the Secretary believes that there will be residential areas as well as jobs in the Northern Metropolis. People can live and work in the same area. I understand, but I don't agree. I think our beliefs are very different. The government thinks that people can live and work in situ in the Northern Metropolis. But I think it is very difficult to change people's mindsets. It would be disastrous if things do not go to plan. It takes at least 2 decades to build a railway. We can't afford that kind of time. And second, cost. The government's development model for railway is always railway plus property. However, there are not sufficient land in Siu Lam and Sunny Bay. No private property developer would participate. Now, since this is a strategic project, why doesn't the government issue bonds to fund the project? Now, the return rate of the government's bond issuance is among the bottom 10 places in the world. That's good because it shows that the government does not issue bonds or debt casually. But I think you are neglecting the needs of the 1 million people living in Chuen Mun and Yuen Long. Now, about Southern Lantau, besides the Northern Metropolis, the government has spent a lot of effort on developing tourism economy, and the government has been supporting the developments of the Southern Lantau. Now, there are calls for building a road linking South Lantau and Tung Chung. We don't need a tunnel. That would be much cheaper. And also, there are dedicated quota to bring vehicles from the mainland to South Lantau directly. Now, with these infrastructure, are there, a lot of private developers are interested to turn South Lantau into a resort island. Now, I'm pleased to hear the government's positive response. In terms of infrastructure, the government is studying the construction of a north-south highway, and it will report to the council by the end of this year. And also, there will be separate quota under the southbound scheme to bring vehicles to South Lantau for holiday. Now, about southbound vehicles. The policy address mentions that the government will promote the development of the airport city and align with the timetable of the commissioning of the southbound vehicle scheme. The airport city will be commissioned in November this year, and there will be car parking facilities as well. Now, the TLB says that by July this year, there will be 100 quota under the scheme for travelers under the individual travel permits, but I don't think that will supplement our economy much. Now, on average, there are 3,000 vehicles going northbound each month under the scheme. So to achieve a balance, we should have roughly the same number of vehicles coming from the mainland southbound. Now, I think we should take a two-pronged approach. Besides a small number of travelers with individual travelers permits, we can offer a much larger amount of quota to the tune of 1,000 or 2,000 a day and bring these vehicles southward. We can build a large car park with such a capacity near Sunny Bay. Now, we have a similar car park nearby. If we build 2 or 3 more, we can accommodate these additional vehicles. This is very important because the whole family can travel to Hong Kong without stopping, alighting the vehicle, and passing the customs clearance. Driving across the boundary is very important for people traveling as a family. I would like to turn to innovation and technology. Professor Sun Dong and also the Financial Secretary are working hard to promote the entrance of INT enterprises in the Northern Metropolis. However, my friends are worried that with such a favorable policy package, it would give the perception that the government is having some under-table deals with enterprises. But at the same time, we need to compete with Singapore and Dubai in terms of tax incentives. Can we have the profit tax for these enterprises for the next 20 years? What about electricity fees? Because data centers will use up a lot of power. Salaries tax for talents, can we waive the salaries tax for 5 years? Now, I know the government will reach out to individual enterprise to tailor-make favorable packages for them. I think you should be bold rather than listening to the questioning voices. If our tax is not as low as our neighbor, then these companies will not come to Hong Kong. They will simply move to other places. So I hope the government acts boldly in offering these favorable packages. Another focus of the policy address is developing AI. Of course, I would support the move. In May this year, I moved a members' motion on actively tying in with the development pattern of the country and study the reform of AI curriculum for primary and secondary students. That should be a structural reform for their curriculum. AI should be incorporated into every subject so that we have AI everywhere. More importantly, we need to train teachers on AI. Now, the EDB will set aside $2 billion to support digital education for primary and secondary school students. And in 2026, a blueprint for digital education will be promulgated. AI will become a core element, and teacher will receive training on AI. So I applaud the chief executive for acceding to my suggestion. Now, besides digital education, there will also be a task force on enhancing the AI advocacy in schools. We will use AI to nurture talents and bolster our capacity. There will be AI everywhere in governance as well. But we need to be careful. What does AI entails? There will be 100 different answers if you ask 100 people. Some people think that simply by using your smartphone and do a search, that's AI. Now, for some people, they can film a movie with a very small budget with AI. So there are still a lot of questions as to what AI can achieve. So I think we need to seriously ponder on this issue. But there are two issues which I have been following up on, and there are some. The government has responded to these worries as well. First of all, supplementary importation of labor. Now, the government has set a ratio of a 2-to-1, local to imported labor for 2 catering industry jobs. Now, I hope this ratio can be adjusted dynamically. If a certain job type has a high level of local unemployment, we should adjust the ratio to 3-to-1 or even 4-to-1. If the unemployment rate is low for the job type, we can maintain the 2-to-1 ratio. There shouldn't be a circuit breaker mechanism. With that, we can justify the need of economic development and protection of local employment. Now, civil service reform. Now, one of the major moves is to implement the heads of departments accountability system. This will systemize and institutionalize the accountability system. Now, besides accountability, the attitude in service delivery is also important. Now, we need to make use of salary increment points to encourage proactiveness. Now, in the past, only 30 people have been deprived of their salary increments because of poor performance. It shows that the system is in name only. Now, the government has admitted that the system is too lenient. Those civil servants who have made a bad pass should not be given salary increments at all. Now, there are policy measures which I don't agree with, but I support most of the measures in the policy address, so I will vote in favor of the motion of thanks. I also hope the government will continue to listen to our views. Thank you. Mr. Chu Guokeng. Thank you, President. In this session, I will focus on the Northern Metropolis and environmental protection issue. Now, the policy address proposed to speed up development of Northern Metropolis. The Committee on Development of Northern Metropolis will be established, led by the Chief Executive, to coordinate the scale and pattern of development of various districts, and there will also be flexible financing options. Now, the Sunny Technopole is 210 hectare large for INT developments. It is a strategic highland for development of INT. Learning from Cyber Park and the Hong Kong Science and Technology Park, despite the close proximity with the university town, we need to ensure that university must be involved in the running of the science park. There are a lot of examples overseas and in the mainland. There is the Tsinghua Industrial Park and Zhejiang Industrial Park. Overseas, there is an annual park run together with the involvement of a university. So these industrial parks can combine the strengths of the academic sector and the R&D and industry sector. Now, the 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 has just announced the latest world ranking of universities. Hong Kong is the only place in the world with 5 top 100 universities. And also, all universities from Hong Kong on the list have risen in terms of the ranking. It shows that our universities and also their R&D capacities are well leading. Now there should be an industrial park in Sunny Technopole involving local universities to help commercialize our research outcomes. It can even generate sustainable income to compensate for the costs spent on R&D. Now the hotel cooperation zone and the Sunny Technopole will become the main artery of development in the future. Now,
2028
The policy address also talks about enhancing the charging network. There will be an additional 3,000 charging points for electric vehicles. The development strategy is very safe, but what about installation of these facilities in primary and secondary schools? They have encountered difficulties when they apply for the facilities to be installed. Schools are microcosms of society. If it is difficult for them to have the facilities installed, it will be even more difficult for society in general to get it done. I asked the government to revamp the application procedure so that we can all work together to build a low-carbon green living environment. Mr. Gary Zhang. Thank you, President. I would like to speak in this session about Northern Metropolis and strengthening Hong Kong's position as an international financial center. In the policy address, it talks about enhancing our connectivities and our role as a platform to assist enterprises to go global. Well, this is the start. The 15 five-year plan will start soon. The general trend is for mainland businesses to go global. This is a chance for Hong Kong to serve our country. It is our mission. In the past, Hong Kong was the door for capital to enter the mainland market. In the future, we can assist mainland enterprises to expand into overseas markets. Will serve as an important platform. In 3 areas, we can conduct further studies to see if we can leverage our advantages. First, the International Financial Center. There are a number of them in the world, but where do we excel over the others? What can we do that others can't? I think it is RMB related financial services. And on new products is the development of digital currency. We have a very clear positioning. We have devoted efforts in this regard. So we have the capability to do better, to do something that other international financial centers can't. The second area is professional services, consultation, engineering, legal, and accountancy. We also serve advanced manufacturing industries. We have a strong policy support for a very long time. We need to enable flow of talent from different places in the world so that we can attract talents from different places to come to Hong Kong. They will become an important part in the development of this business. Hong Kong's is a very good example to the world. Hong Kong attracts overseas enterprises to establish their business here. If it works in Hong Kong, it will serve as a very good example to investors and consumers in different parts of the world. This is another opportunity for us. We need to put in place more supporting measures. We need to attract enterprises to come to Hong Kong and use Hong Kong as an exemplary city. I'm glad to see that there are reforms in different areas. I agree with the direction, but I'd like to talk about my expectations and suggestions in relation to the Northern Metropolis. I have high expectations on the dedicated legislation. I've been serving in the North District. I've been working with the government for a number of years. A major challenge is the vast area covered by the Northern Metropolis. The different sites are of a different development stage. We have the outline zoning plan, but there is no one single plan covering the entire Northern Metropolis. When we have a dedicated legislation, perhaps development parameters on population development can be set for the Northern Metropolis. Adjustments may be made for individual sites, say the Technopole, which is a key development area of the Northern Metropolis. Planning started at an early stage, but then afterwards there is Ngau Tam Mei and University Town. University matches well with R&D. Perhaps the universities and R&D facilities can be closer to Technopole, whereas residential uses can be closer to Ngau Tam Mei. It will create better synergy. The difficulty we have is that under the current mechanism, we cannot make it better. Our administrative approach attracts a high cost. I hope that after the passage of the dedicated legislation, there will be further adjustments in development parameter, and that the government will be able to take a more proactive role. In the development panel, I have mentioned this. It is a major development in the North Metropolis. It is important to let residents to share the fruit of the government's work. The government has devoted a large amount of resources, over $1 trillion in investment in the Northern Metropolis. We heard about this a lot, but when it comes to rural villages in the North Districts, there are hundreds of thousands of residents that will be part of the Northern Metropolis. But what they see is that perhaps because of our physical difficulties, livelihood projects have been delayed. Say, for example, the improvement of the roundabout in Kai Lang, livelihood projects in Lung Wo Hui. These projects have been consulted, but they have been delayed. We have yet to see the commencement date for these projects. We need to get residents in these areas to feel a sense of ownership. We need to make residents in the areas to feel the fruit, to feel that they share the fruit of the development. They are affected the most. They have to tolerate with construction works and inconvenience, so it is important to get their support. I hope that in future policies, the government will make sure that their aspirations are addressed. What is very clear that there will be an additional $30 billion spent on capital works, focusing on the small and medium-sized projects. I hope that this initiative will be implemented as soon as possible so that residents in these areas will benefit.
Does any other member wish to speak? If not, I now call upon the public officers to reply. Financial Secretary. President, members, I thank the Chair of the House Committee for moving the motion of thanks for the Chief Executive's 2025 policy address. I also thank members for their views. The theme of this year's policy address is deepening reforms for our people, leveraging our strengths for a brighter future. The policy address focuses on economic development and improving people's livelihood with a view to facilitating Hong Kong's integration into the country's development. With our country's strong support, our economy is stable with a positive economic outlook. And the Hong Kong's unique advantages under one country, two systems have become increasingly clear. I'd like to report to members the latest economic situation in Hong Kong. This year, the international political and economic landscape is complex and volatile. Economic and trade activities continue to be affected by the trade war. As a highly externally oriented economy, Hong Kong's economic performance is closely related to the global economic environment. So far this year, Hong Kong's economy has been stable, with a real GDP growing at a year-on-year rate of 3.1% in the first half of the year. In the second quarter, the year-on-year growth rate was 3.1%, slightly higher than that of 3% in the first quarter. Recent data suggests that the local economy remained firm in the third quarter. Goods export remained resilient, with the value of total exports growing by 14.5% year-on-year between July and August. Inbound tourism continued to improve, with the visitor arrivals rising by 12.2% year-on-year in the third quarter, totaling over 36 million in the first 9 months. During the recent National Day and Mid-Autumn Festival holidays, mainland visitor arrivals reached 1.4 million, an increase of 8.6% over the year, while overseas visitor arrivals also reached 230,000, a year-on-year increase of 26%. The local consumer market has been improving, with a year-on-year growth in value of total retail sales accelerating to 3.8% in August, which is the fourth consecutive month for which we have recorded growth. For the labor market, the latest seasonally adjusted unemployment rate for June to August was maintained at 3.7%, while employment earnings continued to grow. For the assets market, the residential property market was stable in recent months. We now see more transactions, property prices stabilizing, and rent performing strongly. The local stock market has continued its upward trend in recent days. The market sentiment is positive. The Hang Seng Index rose by more than 30% as at the end of September from the end of last year, outperforming Europe, the US, and other major markets in the region. Stock market trading remained active, with average daily turnover reaching $316.7 billion in September, a surge of nearly 90% year-on-year. With the implementation of a series of reforms in the listing regime, the new stock market The IPO market has been very active so far, with a total of 69 IPOs raising $182.9 billion in the first 9 months of the year, which is over 3 times the figure from the same period last year. The amount raised through subsequent public offerings during the same period reached as much as $436.3 billion. However, it is anticipated that the U.S. protectionism and unilateralism and tariff measures will continue to affect global trade and cause uncertainty in the external environment. And yet, Hong Kong's economy will benefit from the sustained growth in Asia, especially on the mainland, coupled with the increase in local employment earnings, the buoyant stock market, and the stabilization of the property market. The Fed began an interest rate cutting cycle recently, which will boost local investment and consumption. Hong Kong's economy should maintain its growth momentum for the rest of the year. It is forecast that the local economy will see a growth of 2 to 3% for the year. However, in light of the uncertain external environments and the global landscape, it is necessary for Hong Kong to develop new economic growth areas so as to optimize its economic structure, provide impetus for growth, and create jobs for for our people. The policy address proposes to expedite the development of the Northern Metropolis and promote the development of industries, which demonstrates precisely our determination to inject new impetus into the local economy. Now, the development of the Northern Metropolis and the new International I&T Center is an important initiative of the government through spatial planning and industry planning. We make good use of the development strategies and opportunities of the National 14th Five-Year Plan so as to further align with the development strategy of our country and make breakthroughs. In this year's WIPO Global Innovation Index ranking, the Shenzhen, Hong Kong, Guangzhou has for the first time leaped to become world's #1 innovative cluster. The Northern Metropolis is poised to become an important platform for Hong Kong and other Greater Bay Area cities to complement each other's strength and coordinated development in other frontier technological areas. The 3,000-odd hectares of new land in the Northern Metropolis will be crucial and necessary in promoting the development of industries where we enjoy an edge, such as higher education and modern logistics, as well as upgrading and restructuring existing industries and creating a better environment to alleviate congestion in the urban areas. As the development of Northern Metropolis moves from planning to full-scale construction, it is now the best time to accelerate the efficient construction and introduce industries in major projects. This government is doing its utmost to seize the development opportunities with flexible and innovative thinking so as to propel our economy to a new level of being highly value-added and highly competitive. The policy address has dedicated a chapter to setting out the vision and development directions, covering measures such as providing for higher level of leadership in decision-making, streamlining administrative measures, enacting dedicated legislation to accelerate development of Northern Metropolis and providing concessions. Under the Committee on Development of the Northern Metropolis, led by the Chief Executive, there is a working group on devising development and operation models, which is led by me. The main objective of the working group is to devise appropriate development and operation models for the various development areas in the Northern Metropolis, taking into account the nature and scale, and formulate land grant and financing proposals for industry parks and major development projects, so as to ensure flexibility and efficiency. The working group held its first meeting last month and has been working at full speed. The Northern Metropolis is an engine for Hong Kong's future development and an important vehicle for promoting transformation and innovative breakthroughs. It is of far-reaching strategic significance to the long-term and sustainable development of Hong Kong. At a macro level, the Northern Metropolis will serve as an important platform for Hong Kong to develop in a coordinated and complementary manner with other GBA cities. It will create synergy arising from clustering of complementary industries where we enjoy an edge and consolidate Hong Kong's position as a hub connecting the mainland with the world. On a local level, it will promote development of the community and industries, provide quality jobs, and provide sustained impetus to the economic activities in the northern part of Hong Kong, as well as our economy as a whole. We'll make good use of market forces in bringing in investment and enterprises and adopt diversified modes of development to expedite the recruitment of industries to the area. Present investment promotion is key to promoting economic transformation and enhance our competitiveness. Inward investment brings in capital and technologies. It also creates jobs, promotes diversification, and enhances our momentum for the long term. In the face of fierce competition from neighboring regions in investment promotion, I will lead bureaus and departments in formulating concessionary policy packages to promote industrial development and investment, provide more options in our toolkit for investment promotion such as land grant allocation and land premium financing, talent tax. I set up a steering committee on the 6th of October and convened its first meeting to comprehensively review the current investment promotion strategy and practices. We will select appropriate options from our toolkit based on the enterprise's specific circumstances and overall benefits they bring to Hong Kong. By offering bespoke and attractive incentives and facilitation, we will have a more expeditious, targeted, and competitive investment promotion strategy to accelerate the development of local industries. We will further leverage on Hong Kong's unique advantages under one country, two systems in the various support measures of our country. By harnessing our strengths in connecting domestic and international markets and our international outlook, comprehensive and extensive and end-to-end financing services, the pool of international firms and talents, our high-caliber professional services will be able to attract enterprises to establish operations in Northern Metropolis and make Hong Kong a premier hub for global expansion. President Hong Kong's economy is at the new stage of structural upgrading and transformation and high-quality development. The measures proposed in the policy address will not only consolidate and enhance our traditional strengths, but also set out an action agenda for developing new growth areas and nurturing emerging industries. We will implement all policy measures at full speed to usher in a new chapter of economic and social development for Hong Kong at this pivotal juncture of advancing from stability, trying our best to secure a better life for our citizens. President, I so submit. I urge members to support the Chief Executive's 2025 policy address.
多謝。
Deputy Financial Secretary. President, I give my heartfelt thanks to members for their invaluable views concerning the Chief Executive's 2025 policy address. I will now speak on accelerating the development of the Northern Metropolis. The Northern Metropolis covers a land area and planned population intake accounting for about one-third of Hong Kong's total. It represents a substantial source of economic value and development potential, creating some 500,000 jobs. This is the new growth engine for Hong Kong. With the industrial planning formulated for various districts, the development of the Northern Metropolis has entered a critical juncture of industry entrance and key projects development. The Chief Executive said that we must accelerate the development of the Northern Metropolis. This policy address proposed the establishment of the Committee on Development of Northern Metropolis, led by the Chief Executive. We believe that with the new top-level design, we can strengthen the steering of the development of the Northern Metropolis, as well as helping industries to enter the Northern Metropolis. Under the committee led by the Chief Executive, there are 3 working groups. They include the Working Group on Devising Development and Operation Models, led by the Financial Secretary. Just now, the Financial Secretary has described the terms of reference of this working group. There's also the Working Group on Planning and Construction of the University Town, led by the Chief Secretary for Administration. It will be responsible for designing the major development strategies and land approval of the University Town, as well as promoting the synergized development of industry, academic, and research. Finally, there is the Working Group on Planning and Development, led by myself. I will now speak on the detailed work plan of this working group. The working group will dedicate to establish a highly efficient mechanism to coordinate the planning and land use, as well as infrastructure of the Northern Metropolis. That also includes planning, engineering, land transportation, and environmental protection. The working group will streamline the workflow of various works and increase the efficiency of various work. There will be a dedicated project supervision office. The Permanent Secretary for Development, Planning and Lands, Ms. Doris Ho, will lead the office. The establishment of this office is not for usurping the approval department's authority, for example, planning departments and the lands departments. The office will act as a liaison to manage the end-to-end process of the delivery of private projects in the Northern Metropolis. On the premise of safety and quality, it will speed up the approval process for these projects. Now, the office is working out the relevant arrangements with a target to hammer out the details by the end of this year for reference of stakeholders. The working group will also coordinate the preparatory work of dedicated legislation for the Northern Metropolis. Now, I would like to explain why we need to introduce dedicated legislation for the Northern Metropolis. One of our major considerations is that we need to give full use of the strengths of the Northern Metropolis. Compared with the developed areas in Hong Kong, the population density in the Northern Metropolis is relatively low. After strengthening the infrastructure capacity, the initial burden on our infrastructure will be low. So compared with urban areas which are densely populated, there is room for the Northern Metropolis to adopt planning and land development procedures with high efficiency. Now, I emphasize that while enhancing speed and efficiency, we will not neglect safety and quality. And also, with the close proximity with Shenzhen, we need to have special arrangements in terms of cross-boundary flow of talents, capital, and data. Now, our initial plan is to empower the government to streamline statutory procedures with dedicated legislation. For example, enhancing the approval process of building plans, relaxing permitted uses, and adjusting the development parameters of OZPs, and speed up the disbursements of compensation for land acquisition. We plan to conduct a 2-month-long public consultation next year concerning the legislative proposal, and we aim to submit the bill by middle next year, with an aim to pass the bill next year. On that, we will ensure that we do a good explanatory job and obtain the support of the LegCo. Now, this policy address has adopted an innovative mindset to strengthen the top-level design for decision-making mechanism in the Northern Metropolis to enhance the speed of development for the area. We believe that the accelerated development of the Northern Metropolis will allow investors and members of the public to see and tangibly feel the enormous potential of the Northern Metropolis. I think there is a consensus that we will all support the development of the Northern Metropolis. I urge members to support the 2025 policy address.
Secretary for Development. President, I'd like to thank the members for their valuable comments given in this debate and for their strong support. Under the principle of enhancing speed, quantity, quality, and efficiency, the Development Bureau has been making use of land development and works projects to boost economic and social development. Ample land supply provide room for growth for Hong Kong and better living environment for its people, thereby achieving our goal of sustainable development. According to our latest forecast, in the coming 10 years, about 2,600 hectares of developable land will be produced, 70% of which comes from the Northern Metropolis. On a macro perspective, the government published in 2021 the final report of Hong Kong 2023 Plus, which recommends a stock of 7,000 hectares of land in the 30 years to 2048. That's about 200 hectares a year. The estimated output of around 260 hectares per year on average in the latest 10-year period is in line with the target level in Hong Kong 2030 Plus. The estimated level of output can meet the target of public housing production for the next 10 years and meet the demand for economic sites. I'd like to stress that getting the land ready does not mean it will be for sale or for development. We will still take into consideration the market situation and adjust our strategy flexibly to supply land for development. The Northern Metropolis is the future arsenal of spade-ready sites and a strategic development area of Hong Kong. Accelerating its development has always been the goal of this government. In fact, we have accomplished quite a lot in just 2 years since the publication of the Northern Metropolis Action Agenda. We are no longer at the planning stage for the Northern Metropolis project. 4 new development areas are currently under construction, covering close to 900 hectares of land. The planning of the Northern Metropolis has taken shape. Construction has also started. The development of the Northern Metropolis has entered a new phase, which is the optimal juncture to expedite its development. The government proposes a reform on decision-making, administration, and legislation. Just now, the Deputy Financial Secretary as well as the Financial Secretary have touched on this. We got the support from this council, and we managed to amend legislation to shorten the time to turn primitive land into spade-ready sites. The focus now is on the needs of areas where we have entered into the planning and construction stage. We have already implemented about 100 measures. We will continue to roll out measures to remove barriers and to speed up approval procedures, lower development costs for enterprises, encourage the market to participate and to attract businesses. Some of the measures will be tailored to the characteristics of the Northern Metropolis. For example, a phased development approach implemented on a trial basis in new development areas as a warm-up, allowing landowners in the Northern Metropolis to surrender land planned for resumption to offset the premium payable for other sites within the Northern Metropolis. We also suggest putting in place measures that are applicable to the entire city. For example, we will launch a 3-year pilot scheme on pay for what you build to reduce the capital cost on premium payment, as well as employing a more flexible arrangement on the tenancy term for government land, under which the tenancy that may be longer than 7 years and can be renewed to a maximum of 21 years. We are working to relax the GFA exemption arrangements for private car parks. Also, we are stepping up efforts to redevelop old areas and old buildings. We are going to encourage the market to take part in the redevelopment. We are also working to lower construction cost. The Development Bureau has formulated specific initiatives for rolling out once they are ready to control cost. These include the Project Cost Management Platform to be launched next year to digitalize the whole process of cost control. We've also invited the Building Technology Research Institute to review long-standing local construction standards and requirements that significantly impact cost. The first batch covers concrete strength and load-bearing capacity of foundations. In addition, the Development Bureau will conduct central procurement on a trial basis in the first half of next year, starting with commonly used materials such as steel reinforcement and modular integrated construction modules to cut cost. The government has been rolling out public works projects in a timely and orderly manner to improve people's quality of living, enhance Hong Kong's long-term competitiveness, and promote economic development. The original estimate of the government's average annual capital works expenditure in the coming 5 years was about $120 billion. To support our construction industry, the Chief Executive announces in this year's policy address that an additional $30 billion will be earmarked in the next 2 to 3 years to increase expenditure on works projects to drive sustained economic development and create more jobs. We will make good use of the reserved funding to take forward medium and large-scale projects. Also, we want to have a healthy balance between public and private works projects. Therefore, measures are proposed in the policy address to remove barriers that aim to encourage more private projects to boost the private market. President, the current term government shows a strong determination and drive to produce land. Faced with external competition, we appreciate the urgency that time waits for no one. The PA this year introduces bold reforms such as top-level design, administration and legislation in various areas. I so submit. I hope members will support this year's policy address.
Secretary for Innovation, Technology and Industry. President, I thank members for their invaluable views on the policy portfolio of the ITIB expressed in the motion of thanks debate. Innovation and technology is at the core of our country's overall development strategy. During this year's 2 sessions, President Xi put forward the need to firmly sustain the real economy as a foundation and remain steadfast in advancing the transformation and upgrading of traditional industries while opening up strategic emerging ones. The SAR government fully aligns with the country's INT development strategy, promotes industrial transformation, and actively nurtures emerging industries. The policy address has put forward a series of measures to further promote the development of innovation and technology in Hong Kong and foster new quality productive forces. This is in line with the views expressed by members. In the following, I will respond to several issues mentioned by multiple members. We are committed to enhancing the strategic layout for INT development. Regarding upstream and midstream operations, 2 pilot production lines of the Hong Kong Microelectronics R&D Institute will commence operation next year. We will also complete the preparatory work for the establishment of the Life and Health Technology Research Institutes and the Hong Kong AI R&D Institute. We will expedite the development also of the 3rd Inner Hong Kong Research Cluster. The R&D centers of this cluster will be set up progressively in the first half of 2026. We will also deploy more resources to support the development of new space economy. With the sustained growth in the output of new industries, the government will step up its efforts to nurture emerging industries locally and attract those from outside Hong Kong to promote diversified economic development. We will adopt a senior-based investment promotion approach to attract leading INT enterprises such as Hangzhou's 6 Little Dragons to develop in Hong Kong. We will also lower the application threshold for the new industrialization acceleration scheme, reducing the minimum total project cost requirement from $300 million and to $150 million and providing matching funding for the employment of relevant technical personnel. We have also tried to recruit more large enterprises to set up operations in Northern Metropolis, and we will consider member suggestions in this regard. We will launch the INT Industry-Oriented Fund in 2026 to 2027 and continue to implement the cooperation agreement on development of new quality productive forces and promotion of new industrialization signed with the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. The government has been committed to providing development space for the INT sector. Within this year, we will publish the conceptual outline of the development plan for the INT industry in the center in Technopole. It will cover various areas, such as top-level design, industry positioning, and layout. Regarding Sandy Ridge in North District, we will put up for tender about 10 hectares of land for data center development to benefit research. We will leverage the INT fund to introduce prostheses built with new R&D technologies. A 2-year scheme will be introduced to grant full subsidies to amputees in Hong Kong for use of such prostheses free of charge. We see that AI is the key driving force of a new round of scientific and technological revolution. Guided by the strategy of strengthening our infrastructure and promoting the application-oriented approach, we will promote the development of AI+. On R&D and talent, the Hong Kong AI R&D Institute will be established in 2026. We have launched the $3 billion Frontier Technology Research Support Scheme also to help UGC-funded universities to attract top-notch researchers to Hong Kong to spearhead basic research in frontier technologies. Regarding computing infrastructure. The Cyberport AI Supercomputing Center will further enhance its computing powers this year. We also launched the $3 billion AI subsidy scheme to encourage local institutions to make extensive use of the supercomputing center. On application of AI, the AI Advocacy Enhancement Team led by the Deputy Chief Secretary for Administration will coordinate and guide bureaus and departments in applying AI technology in their work. We will roll out various AI tools for different administrative tasks. We will also support departments in launching AI flagship projects as demonstration cases to encourage wider adoption of AI, accelerate public service innovation. To support SMEs in the adoption of AI, we will enhance Cyberport's digital transformation support pilot program. Matching grants will be provided to SMEs to adopt AI and cybersecurity solutions. We will actively also consider the suggestions of members to strengthen AI's role in scientific research and development of new industrialization. We will continue to expedite development of the Hong Kong Shenzhen Innovation and Technology Park in the Loop. The first 3 buildings of Phase 1 have been completed with tenants moving in progressively. The park will officially commence operations by the end of this year, while construction of the remaining 5 buildings is proceeding at full speed. The government has set up an interdepartmental vetting coordination task force for the Hong Kong Park to accelerate park development. In late September, the park launched the selected remaining sites for tendering and invited private development proposals. It also plans to complete the planning for the scale and industry distribution of Phase 2, as well as the overall layout of the Hong Kong Park within this year. To deepen international exchanges and collaboration, we will continue to host the World Internet Conference, Asia Pacific Summit, and InnoEX next year to consolidate Hong Kong's leading position as an international I&T center. The government will continue to support local universities and professional bodies in bidding to host international academic or professional conferences, publish in influential academic journals, and continue to actively participate in international and regional organizations. Members, the title of this year's policy address is Deepening Reforms for Our People, Leveraging Our Strengths for a Brighter Future. Innovation and technology is a key engine for high-quality economic development in Hong Kong. My team and I will continue to build a vibrant I&T ecosystem and support the development of the real economy. We will take forward the initiatives in policy address and create favorable conditions for I&T development in Hong Kong. I look forward to working with members to jointly build Hong Kong into an international I&T center. I implore members to support the motion of things. Thank you, President.
Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury. President, I start by thanking members for their valuable views. As the Chief Executive has said, the policy address this year is a roadmap for Hong Kong to strive for a vibrant economy, pursue development, and improve people's lives as we expedite our advancement from stability to prosperity. It also outlines a strategic plan for Hong Kong to proactively align with national development strategies and achieve breakthroughs in forging a new landscape. We will maintain the spirit of innovative reform in commencing the work in the year to come. On cementing Hong Kong's status as an international financial center to give play to our strengths, in the Global Financial Centers Index published recently, Hong Kong remained in the top 3 in the 3rd place across the world and kept the top spot in Asia Pacific. Globally, we even rose to the 1st rank in fintech offerings. We will continue to leverage our unique strength under one country, two systems and give a full play to our role as a super connector and super value adder. I will now highlight our work on our role as an international financial center. First, on the stock market, we will continue to assist mainland tech firms in raising funds in Hong Kong through the Technology Enterprises channel. We will also further optimize the regimes for listing on the main board and issuing structured products, explore enhancements to the listing requirements for companies with weighted voting rights structures, explore shortening the stock settlement cycle to T+1, encourage more overseas enterprises to seek secondary listing in Hong Kong, and support China concept stock companies in returning from overseas market with Hong Kong as their preferred destination. On asset and wealth management, we will continue to enhance the preferential tax regimes for funds, single-family offices, and carried interest. We will also facilitate the enhancement of the qualified foreign limited partnerships mechanism, in particular by stepping up collaboration with Shanghai and Shanghai to attract more foreign capital to the mainland's private capital market. We have also enhanced the new capital investment entrance scheme. This is mentioned by members as well. On risk management, to encourage the participation of insurance funds in infrastructure financing, we will lower capital requirements for infrastructure investment and provide concessions for local projects. We will team up with the insurance authority to promote the development of exclusive captive and reinsurance business in Hong Kong. On the bond market, CMU Army Clear under the Hong Kong Monetary Authority and the Hong Kong Stock Exchange will collaborate to explore centralized management and the cross-collateralization of assets such as shares and bonds by investors on a single platform. The Securities and Futures Commission is also studying the feasibility of an electronic bond trading platform to be built and run by market players, and is also promoting the establishment of a commercial repo market and a central counterparty regime in Hong Kong. The Securities and Futures Commission has already announced the fixed income and currency roadmap. I'm also very pleased to learn that the People's Bank of China also announced an expanded list of Swap Connect dealers, an enhanced management mechanism, and a higher limit of RMB 45 billion on the northbound trading under Swap Connect, more than twice as much as before. The PBOC also made public its plans to work with relevant authorities to provide more RMB assets, including treasury bonds in the Hong Kong market. On mutual market access, we'll work towards the early inclusion of an RMB trading counter under Stock Connect, southbound trading of Hong Kong stocks, and the incorporation of real estate investment trust funds into mutual market access. The goal is to encourage more listed companies to add RMB trading counters to their stocks. We will also work to implement the payment of stamp duty arising from RMB counter stock transactions in RMB. On the accounting profession, we will continue to drive the industry's professional development in collaboration with the Accounting and Financial Reporting Council and the Hong Kong Institute of Certified Public Accountants. We're also threshing out the long-term funding model of the AFRC. On expediting the development of new growth areas, as other members have argued, on gold and commodity trading, we will expand the gold storage capacity of Hong Kong with the aim of ramping it up to more than 2,000 tons in 3 years so as to turn our city into a regional gold reserve hub. We will also encourage gold traders to set up or scale up refineries in Hong Kong and explore with the mainland the feasibility of processing supplied materials in the mainland to produce refined gold for exporting to Hong Kong for trading and delivery. The Shanghai Gold Exchange will be invited to take part in the establishment of a central clearing system for gold in Hong Kong. We will also offer a greater variety of gold investment vehicles by assisting issuers in issuing gold funds and support the development of new investment products. We will also support the setting up of a trade association for the gold industry. On commodities, as the Financial Secretary just said, the Strategic Committee on Commodities will strengthen the top-down design and long-term strategy of our commodity policy. We will also support more international commodity exchanges in setting up approved warehouses. The HKSE will deepen connections with the Guangzhou Futures Exchange and other commodity markets in the mainland. On fintech, the HKMA is implementing a regime for stablecoin issuers, while the Financial Services and Treasury Bureau and the SFC are formulating the legislative proposal on the licensing regimes for digital asset dealing and custodian services in an effort to improve the framework that balances regulation with market development. The SFC is studying the possibility of offering a wider range of digital asset products and services to professional investors. There are also plans to introduce automated reporting and data surveillance tools. The HKMA and Cyberport launched the second cohort of the AI Sandbox initiative to promote AI application to more financial institutions. The HKMA is developing an AI model evaluation approach. The FinTech Connect sourcing platform will also be expanded. On green and sustainable finance, the HKEX will deepen pilot collaboration with the GBA carbon market. We will also work with the mainland regulators. We will study issues around our country's participation in the international carbon market, including the formulation of voluntary carbon credit standards and methods, as well as registration, trading, and settlement of carbon emission reduction. On bringing in and going global and deepening international exchanges and cooperation, we will promote the company redomiciliation regime with vigor and support firms interested in transferring their domicile to Hong Kong. We will join the HKEX in an ongoing effort to promote Hong Kong as a platform among issuers and capital in emerging markets to bring more overseas businesses here for secondary listing. We will explore suitable and viable tax concessions and more suitable operating mechanisms. One option is to empower the Chief Executive and the Financial Secretary to design tax breaks that meet international rules to match the needs of relevant policy bureaus in attracting businesses and investments. To encourage more mainland enterprises to set up their corporate treasury centers in Hong Kong, we're studying enhancements to tax concessionary measures. On deepening international cooperation, we're making every effort to lobby the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank to set up an office in Hong Kong. We will continue to organize various financial mega events, such as the Asian Financial Forum and the Wealth for Good in Hong Kong Summit. On supporting the local economy, Capital Works projects are key investments in Hong Kong's development. To support the local construction sector, we will earmark an extra $30 billion for additional works projects over the next 2 to 3 years, and that was also discussed by Ms. Bernadette Lin a moment ago. To help small and medium enterprises with transition and take business pressure off them, the policy address proposed several measures. They include a reduction in water and sewage charges and a lower trade affluent surcharge. Many license fees are also waived. On improving people's lives, LegCo has passed the subsidiary legislation on the Phase 1 proposal for full portability for the Mandatory Provident Fund. We will consult LegCo on the Phase 2 proposal next year. The HKMA will work with the relevant mainland authorities on enhancing cross-boundary credit referencing and the Shenzhen Hong Kong cross-boundary data validation platform to facilitate cross-boundary financing for mainland businesses and residents in Hong Kong. On enhancing the regulation of money lenders, we have completed a public consultation. We will release the findings early next year and formulate this legislative proposal swiftly. I so submit. I hope members will support the motion of thanks and work with the government on taking forward various tasks. Thank you, President.
Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development. President, first, I'd like to express my heartfelt thanks to the members who spoke in support of the measures outlined in the policy address that seek to consolidate and enhance Hong Kong's status as an international trading center. They have offered many valuable insights. On bringing in and going global, with the challenges and uncertainties arising from changes in the global trade and geopolitical landscapes, there is a more pressing need for mainland enterprises to diversify business risks through investing in different markets. According to the 2024 PA, the Invest Hong Kong as well as the HKTDC already built a mechanism in December 2024. Together, they are going to attract enterprises to set up headquarters in Hong Kong. They will offer one-stop professional consultation services to help them set up multinational industrial chain and supply chain. The TDC as well as Invest Hong Kong has already gained a lot of successful experiences. The construction sector, the engineering sector, and so on. There are many members in the industries that have gone global through Hong Kong. To step up support for enterprises to go global, we will integrate the Hong Kong offices on the mainland, Invest Hong Kong, and the TDC's mainland offices. We will form a task force to help mainland enterprises to go global. The Go Global Task Force, which is under my supervision, was formally established on the 6th of October. I will coordinate the policy bureaus, departments, and institutions within the task force to integrate the Hong Kong offices on the mainland, Invest Hong Kong, and the TDC's mainland offices. This is in line with the national policies to offer diversified solutions for mainland enterprises that wish to go global, to help them expand into overseas markets. We'll leverage Hong Kong's unique advantages of being connected to both the mainland and the world under one country, two systems, and more actively fulfill our role as a platform for bringing in and going global. On building an international trading center, the SAR government has been reinforcing Hong Kong's status as an international trading center through a wide array of measures. We're working in full steam to establish an economic and trade office in Kuala Lumpur, which will commence operation by the end of the year. We will also expand the coverage of the current ETOs in ASEAN to deepen economic and trade promotion in ASEAN and neighboring countries. We plan to tap into overseas markets with potential and strengthen trade and economic ties with emerging markets. In addition, the SAR government will continue to forge free trade agreements, as well as investment promotion and protection agreements with trading partners. We will continue to seek early accession to the RCEP. We welcome the approval of the terms of reference of the accession working group at the RCEP ministerial meeting in September. The RCEP Joint Committee was instructed to consider Hong Kong's request to join RCEP in accordance with the accession procedures for new members. This marks a significant step forward for us. We will proactively work with RCEP regarding the accession of new members to facilitate our early accession. Furthermore, the government is actively promoting the digitalization of trade documents. For business-to-government trade documents, we're pressing ahead with the development of the information technology system of Phase 3 of the Trade Single Window. Our target is to roll out the services in phases, starting from the middle of next year. We'll provide a one-stop electronic platform for businesses to submit documents for cargo declaration and customs clearance purposes. We'll continue our work on connecting the single windows of Hong Kong and the mainland. We'll explore the feasibility of extending the existing single submission for dual declaration scheme to include other trade documents and transport modes. We're also exploring the possibility of connecting the single windows with ASEAN and the trade documents that could be covered. In this regard, we're pleased to confirm with ASEAN at the ASEAN Economic Ministers held in Kuala Lumpur this September that will explore taking forward a pilot project of exchanging the electronic certificate of origin through our respective single windows to facilitate businesses in the industry. As for business-to-business trade documents, the government is studying legislative amendments with reference to the model law on electronic transferable records. We'll introduce legislative proposals next year. Will consult the industry on the preliminary proposals. To ensure the final legislative proposals will cater to the actual needs, the industry may propose different technical solutions based on our proposals. On supporting local economy, the government will continue supporting SMEs through various measures. To facilitate cash flow, the application period for the 80% guarantee product under the SME Financing Guarantee Scheme will be extended for 2 years to the end of March 2028, and the principal moratorium arrangement will be extended for 1 year. This is to create more room for SMEs to seize the opportunities brought about by economic recovery. Also, we'll inject $1.43 billion into the BUD Fund and expand its geographical scope to cover 8 more economies, including Belt and Road countries. Will enhance promotion and facilitate the participation of companies in exhibitions and export marketing activities through EasyBud. This is to help companies expand into diversified markets. To promote cross-boundary e-commerce development, a logistics provider will be recruited as an additional pilot participant of the cross-boundary express cargo clearance facilitation arrangement to enhance the efficiency of e-commerce shipment. Also, the HKTDC will, in the next 3 years, continue to organize a Hong Kong shopping festival, covering the mainland and ASEAN e-commerce markets. Also, SME Reach Out and the HKTDC will implement the Creativity E-commerce Beyond Limits program. Through exhibitions, one-stop business matching and referral services will help companies enhance the competitiveness of their brands and develop cross-boundary e-commerce businesses. To support market expansion of our exporters, the Hong Kong Export Credit Insurance Corporation will further collaborate with financial institutions to enhance financing support for Hong Kong e-commerce businesses using different e-commerce platforms. Also, the ECIC will extend the geographical coverage of its free buyer credit checking service to all insured markets of the ECIC to help Hong Kong businesses develop diversified export markets. In addition, we'll set up the Economic and Trade Express. Will enhance the synergy among our ETOs, Invest Hong Kong, and the overseas offices of the HKTDC. Will organize overseas business missions for local SMEs and startups to help them explore business opportunities. Will facilitate more enterprises to invest and establish operations in Hong Kong to promote the two-way flow of enterprises and investments. The Economic and Trade Express will conduct more trade and investment promotional activities overseas. On promoting the development of aerospace science and technology, To promote the development of aerospace science and technology, the government is studying ways to streamline the vetting procedures of license applications for operating low Earth orbit satellites. Our target is to complete the relevant study by this year and announce the findings next year. We'll hope that a simplified application system will help bring enterprises, talent, and investment to Hong Kong to accelerate the development of commercial aerospace services. President, I so submit. I hope members will support the motion of thanks on the 2025 policy address. Thank you.
Secretary for Environment and Ecology. President, I would like to thank the many members who have expressed their views on the policy address in relation to policies of the EEB. We will work with the Belt and Road Initiative International Green Development Coalition to establish a cooperation platform. In addition, the EPD plans to set up the Belt and Road Sustainable Green Development Training Center next year and collaborate with mainland and international organizations to train environmental professionals, promoting development of the new energy industry. We have the promotion of SAF being a measure that is trending in the world. We have the largest SAF supplier being in the Greater Bay Area, and we should develop a chain to tie in with our goal to increase the ratio of SAF consumption by 2030. On development of hydrogen energy, we will formulate hydrogen energy certification standards by 2027 and set up public hydrogen filling facilities on Hong Kong Island and in Kowloon. The government will continue to promote the undertaking of pilot projects and work with the Guangdong province to build a GBA hydrogen corridor. In developing Hong Kong into a demonstration base for green technology, the government will promote the commercialization of green innovation and technology R&D outcomes to encourage non-governmental organizations to construct district cooling systems and continue to engage the market to accelerate decarbonization in existing buildings. We have for EVs, 7 out of 10 newly registered private cars being electric private cars. We have also the $300 million fast charger incentive scheme to promote the development of charging infrastructure. We are gradually converting existing petrol filling stations to fast charging stations. The 2 fast charging stations in Kowloon East and New Territory East can be completed as soon as this year. We have also 6 sites to be used for fast charging stations. On promoting ecotourism, we will implement the 4 Peaks project proposed by the Working Group on Developing Tourist Hotspots. We will have the relevant facilities completed this year. We are also developing green itineraries in the vicinity and developing characteristic tourist products. To make sure Hong Kong can achieve zero landfill by 2035, the first advanced waste-to-energy facility, IPARK 1, is soon to be completed. The government will apply for funding from the LegCo next year to construct IPARK 2. In future, the government will take 4 directions in promoting waste reduction and recycling. We will enhance publicity and education to change people's behavior and foster a green living culture. We will make for a more comprehensive green and community recycling network and have more food waste recycling services. We will work with the industry to have more pragmatic environmental protection measures. We will leverage on market forces to develop green infrastructure to aid in green transformation. We have the pulping facility that will be commissioned in 2026. We also have the first large-scale EV battery recycling facilities that will be commissioned in the first half of 2026 in Eco Park. On promoting pet friendliness, we will have new measures to allow restaurants to apply to have permits to allow entry of dogs in their premises. These will bring about new business opportunities. We will have labels issued to the restaurants who have been approved of such, so that customers will have a choice. We will consult the trade this month to finalize the implementation details. We will prioritize food safety and hygiene, but we will also consider needs of society and the trade. We will make adjustments if necessary upon implementing the relevant arrangements. We also want to expedite approval of the outside seating accommodation of restaurants. We have made use of an innovative approach, actively coordinating different departments to have joint vetting. In Q4 of this year, we will have internal guidelines on the system for the reference of departments. We will actively help food made in Hong Kong sold to the mainland. We will reserve land in the vicinity of Hung Yuen Wai Boundary Control Point for development of the food industry. We hope to also promote a brand of food manufacturing plus tourism. We also want to enhance competitiveness of local produce. We will create a unified brand for local agriculture and fisheries products. We will also have standards for agriculture and culturing methods to create more value for the brand. We will also issue culture permits for new fish culture zones and provide deep sea cages for the use of the sector. We are also developing phase 2 of the Agri Park. And in the first phase, we have already been promoting urban farming. In the first half of 2026, we will streamline and enhance the procedures for dealing with water seepage in buildings. We will greatly shorten the time needed for issuing of notices. President, I hope that in future, we can continue to closely work with members of the LegCo to take forward the work of the EEB. I so submit, and I implore members to support the motion. The second debate session ends.